everybody, I'm Mango Thunderslice, and today we're going to be talking about the launch of the EOS blockchain and the potential, as it applies to that project, for, some semblance of harmony among the races on planet Earth and all the different groups of humans working together on a global project, right? So, just a quick recap for those who don't know. EOS, I call it EOS, is a coin, or at least it was a coin on the Ethereum blockchain, and it went through a year-long ICO, initial coin offering, and it's offering itself as an alternative to Ethereum as a decentralized platform for smart contracts and building decentralized apps, right? So just like you got apps on your phone, you got apps on your computer, right? But those are all administered by a centralized server, right? The company that made the app, they're the ones who are holding all that data in a server somewhere, right? A DApp, a DApp, DApp is a decentralized app. So it's the same principle, but it's far more data secure. It doesn't necessarily have to always be some corporate centralized entity that's putting forth the project. It can literally be community projects with the governance, built into the platform, basically enforced and built upon on this system. So, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a community, whether it's just a service or utility, right? This is a platform that can allow all the things we expect from apps on our phone, all of the different developers, project developers all over the world, a platform for them to use the blockchain but not be limited by the 4 transactions per second of Bitcoin or the 15 transactions per second of Ethereum, right? We're talking about the potential to scale up to 1 million transactions per second, completely eclipse Visa, MasterCard, Facebook combined, right? All of the main centralized players, because the technology is built for that purpose. And just had some nice dinner with Space Panther, been detoxing a little bit. I know those of you who think that this is a toxin might not understand what I mean by that, but there's a reason that it's so hard to detox from THC and other cannabinoids, and that's because your body doesn't actually recognize them as toxins. For one simple reason, they are not. They are endogenous to the body. You have an endocannabinoid system, right, that modulates your entire nervous system and deals with pain response and emotions and endocrine functions in the body. And that's a little side point, right? A little bit of a tangent, but this is what I do in these videos. I like to ramble. It's hard for me to stay on one topic for too long because everything connects, right? It's all interconnected. Had a great conversation with one of our subscribers on the last video, just about the nature of white identity and the whole multiculturalism thing and all that. And I feel like we had a good conversation. It boiled down to basically, both of us would agree that nobody should bash the white race, right? People shouldn't be bashing on white people, just like people shouldn't be bashing on black people or Mexicans or Asians or whatever, right? There's legitimate grievances, and we should be able to talk honestly about that, but we shouldn't just degenerate into shit slinging, when we have the potential to have a rational conversation. We don't always have the potential to have a rational conversation. I fully understand that, but we should attempt to do so wherever possible. And furthermore, we should respect European ancestry. We should respect people wanting to express pride in European ancestry. And we shouldn't force people to integrate into a multicultural society. By no means should people be precluded from building a multicultural society, a melting pot, and living within that and fostering that. By no means should they be precluded from that. But similarly, people who want to live in an ethnically or religiously homogenous society, right, where there's, if people want to self-segregate voluntarily, as long as it's voluntary, that's cool. I don't support voluntary segregation or involuntary segregation or involuntary desegregation, right? People should be allowed to choose. And, acknowledging the real scientific data that says that there are IQ differences between the races does not make one you know, a racist and saying that's a normative statement that, oh yes, you know, Asians are the master race and white people are the sub-master race and all the other races are just, you know, slave races to serve the light-skinned Asians and white people, right? That's not the same thing, okay? But in order to actually move somewhere and build something, you know, good and better, we have to be able to be honest. As long as we're still trading lies for lies, it's just one big sadistic perverted carnival. And I refuse to ride that carnival. And EOS is just really exciting to me. I just placed my vote, right? So the tokens that I have, right? I have a vote within the EOS ecosystem, right? And instead of Bitcoin, right, where new Bitcoins are made by the miners, right? And you've got all the miners all over the world trying to solve this equation in order to make the next block, right? And the reward for that is you get the Bitcoins that come with that block, right? So you're basically the source of inflation for the blockchain. And that worked well enough for security, and it worked well enough for Bitcoin from 2009 to 2017. But here we are, and the greatest and most legitimate complaint against Bitcoin and Ethereum is the transactions per second, is the inability to scale, right? Because as they point out, Facebook, 50,000 likes per second, which each like is a transaction, a digital transaction. Visa, 40,000 transactions per second. You're talking about credit cards, debit cards all over the world. You got to have massive throughput for that kind of data. And both Bitcoin and Ethereum are woefully lacking in that regard. EOS, however, again, built to 1 million transactions per second, scalable, right? So totally able to handle everything, right? And there's block producers, right? So the block producers are voted for. It's like real democracy is the users, the holders of tokens vote for the block producers, and they serve the function of the miners, right? So instead of all the miners mining the same algorithm, wasting a bunch of electricity, slowing down the network, you've got these 21 block producers who were voted on by the entire community, right? And it's a continual process. You know, it's not like this is the forever 21, right, that will be ruling the blockchain for the rest of time, right? No, there's continual accountability to those block producers. They get paid a portion of the inflation of the blockchain, right? They produce the blocks and receive the rewards, which they use to, you know, and they all have their own constitution, right? They all have their own plan for how they'll use those blocks. But by and large, you have the best candidates, and the supermajority of candidates are great candidates, it appears. They are committed to reinvesting those proceeds into projects built on the EOS blockchain, right? So it's a virtuous cycle, and in a way that no IPO or mass, you know, corporate stock offering has ever even come close. This is bigger than Windows. This is bigger than Apple, and it's happening right now. I just placed my vote on the blockchain, right? It's very exciting. This has never happened before in the history of humankind. And to those who don't understand what I'm talking about, you're like, okay, whatever, nerd. But if you have the barest inkling to create a free society, and you're not wallowing in the pity of the past and the dumb ideas propagated by the media, you're looking at how to build the new world. That's what productive people are doing all over the world, of all races. How do we build the new world? Trying to fight against the old world is dumb. It's just dumb. It's just a waste of energy, right? A new truth does not come to light by defeating in argument all the holders of the old presuppositions and superstitions. It's just that a younger generation comes up and they just know it like as a default aspect of reality. And here's my point: is there are block producers all over the world, right? So, you know, just in what I just voted for, right? We got block producers in Ireland, we got block producers in SoCal, we got block producers in New York, block producers in Calgary, in Canada, right? We got block producers in Ukraine and the UK, we got block producers in Japan and Korea, we got block producers in Nairobi, right? We got block producers in Latin America. You literally have the basis for a planetary governance structure, right? The antithesis of the New World Order, a decentralized anarchist platform for governance, right? That is continually transparent and accountable to all of the stakeholders. Frickin' brilliant. And here's I feel like there's just an unending stream of racially charged material on YouTube, and I feel like I've listened to a lot of interesting talks, you know, also shared or at least provoked on this deep dive by some of our wonderful subscribers. And I can't escape the fact that basically there does seem to be a concerted propaganda campaign against the white guy, right? It's like, and I object to that on several grounds, not the least of which is that white guys are genuinely fairly smart compared to the rest of the world, and we objectively have created some cool stuff, and we objectively continue to create cool stuff. Most of the people, you look at the teams of all these block producers on EOS, they're mostly white guys, and God forbid they're even straight by the looks of it. But there are also a lot of women working on the project. There's one block producer called Shios, is basically run by women, right? And that's cool. That's totally cool. I'm all about the best and brightest of all categories coming together and working together, because there are totally 100% things that the white guy does not see. I'll speak for me and the rest of them. We are blind to certain aspects of ourselves, and that's why working on a team is good, and why diversity of all aspects of a team can be beneficial, including diversity of thought and diversity of opinion and diversity of philosophy, right? It's not necessarily an objective virtue in all cases, but absolutely when you combine different excellent attitudes, right, they can complement each other, absolutely. And that's what I want. I want people to be able to voluntarily segregate, voluntarily desegregate, but most importantly, I want the best and brightest of all classes, colors, creeds to be able to come and have equal opportunity to build the new world, because that planetary structure is totally the ultimate equality of opportunity, right? Because it doesn't exist. And there's, you talk about white privilege, all the banks and everything, all of the momentum of the past, all the white guys' advantages count for nothing on the blockchain. It's only merit, right? This is ones and zeros, but also applied to the aspect of community. It's very exciting. And of course, EOS is not like the only blockchain project that's, creating cool things, but I'm just really stoked about this one because it very much seems like people who are excited about the project, and including Dan Larimer, the creator himself, I think are all on this vibration that this is not about just replacing currency. This is not just replacing the US dollar, okay, or Chinese yuan, or, euro, right, euro dollar. This is about replacing centralized governance structures themselves in the private and public sector, right? We can have voluntary hierarchy. We can have total transparency. We can have organization of society and all the goods and services therein according to a much closer approximation of an efficient market than the existing structure, right? And that's not to speak ill of, the achievements of capitalism. Obviously, capitalism got us this far, right? But this is where we go from here, right? Earth's operating system, EOS. It's very exciting. And, I encourage everybody to take a look at the EOS project. It's not about speculation anymore, but I think that the value of the ecosystem will magnify hugely over the coming years. It'll be interesting to see what Vitalik Buterin of the Ethereum project really responds to this with, and if Ethereum can keep up and kind of provide a Visa MasterCard balance with EOS, right? Two different providers of a smart contract platform, and each having their strengths, and weaknesses. But I believe that EOS is really the one to take us home here. I think this is bigger than Windows, bigger than Apple, and for those who are riding this wave, it's so exciting. And again, there's people in Africa, there's people in Eastern Europe, Western Europe, North America, Latin America, Asia, right? Japan, China, Korea, Russia, and we're all riding this wave, and we're all building it together. And I just cast my vote and done my part to ensure accountability on that system. And yeah, we're gonna get there, brothers. And it's important, again, whether you're white or black, not to focus on the past to the exclusion of the present, right? And to not focus on the, grievances of the past, that blinds you to opportunities in the here and now, right? I remember who my ancestors are. I'm not afraid of defending it, right? Neither I nor any of my ancestors ever owned slaves, nor did the vast majority of white people ever own slaves, right? We're all just trying to build this world, and maybe us white guys, we've just got a little bit of a gift up here because we can't run as fast as the black guys. We don't have black privilege when it comes to sports like basketball, so we just got to be smart and hope that works out well for us. Anyway, much love to you all. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Cheers.